YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with my updated NFL power rankings just before week 9 of the NFL. I'm back every single week updating these. We also have full coverage during the season. We got predictions, recaps, score predictions throughout the week. We also got you covered during the NFL trade deadline, which ends today. A lot of action going on. The rumors are heating up. So let's get through this and see if anything happens in the trade deadline here around the NFL. Real quick, more content. You can get extra score predictions, playoff predictions, and updated NFL mock drafts every single week. All of that is updated in part of one package deal. Patreon.com/thegoathouse for more info. There's a link in the description. And it also, we're trying to get to that 40K goal. Please help us out. We're getting there. Want to get there by the end of the year, though. So we really appreciate it if you can subscribe. Full content for the NFL all year long, not just all season long. Check out our Twitter. As you see in the top right, there's a link in the description. Click that like button. Turn notifications on so you don't miss a thing here at the Goat House. Never know what we got coming. And to the power rankings here. Not too many changes at the top. Very top there. We'll talk about it. Maybe some movement has been hidden in terms of the up or down arrows. But at the bottom, actually, I have made a change. We're putting the Bengals at 32. Down one, and we're putting the Dolphins up to 31. I made this change. It just looks like the Bengals are the worst team in football right now. The Dolphins are able to put up fights, even with a bunch of guys being kind of held out. And, they had to see there was just unfortunate mistakes. And the Bengals just so sloppy on both sides of the ball. The defense, the secondary, it's the worst in football. It's so sloppy. It really shouldn't be that bad either. It really shouldn't be. And then you look at, the offense. You think they'll be able to put up a little more points. I know they have an offensive line situation, but you have weapons. I think you should be able to put up more points. They have been the worst team in football. They're down to 32. And the Dolphins are up to 31. Not too many changes coming the rest of the way. We got the Falcons at 30. It's just unfortunate. Nobody predicted this besides Junior in the beginning of the year, so that is interesting. And the Redskins are at 29. They actually put up somewhat of a fight for a little bit there the first half with the Vikings, but still have been one of the worst teams in football. They're at 29. The Jets moved down a spot. They're at 28. Moving down. You see a lot of teams moving down a spot. The Giants, the Broncos, and the Bucks, and then we'll even go a step further and go the Browns. All those teams moving down one spot, kind of recap them. The Jets just turnover problems with Sam Darnold, the offensive line, deserve some blame. They're not really able to get anything going. They're always coming from behind, so they can't really get Le'Veon Bell going, who happens to be on the trading block now. The Giants, they're on a losing streak, and that's why they're moving down. But they're able to stick with teams with the Lions. They're able to play with some of those teams. They just got another New York team that needs to take care of the football a little better. But it's a team that really can get going. I don't think they're going to go anywhere this year, but they can get going in terms of getting some wins. The Broncos put up a real good fight with the Colts. They played a good game. Flacco unfortunately hurt. Brandon Allen will be the guy unless they make a trade. Maybe Drew Lock comes back at some point. We will see. But it's an unfortunate loss that they, going into the game, they should lose, but within the game, looking at the game at the end, they should win that game. They should come out with a win. The Buccaneers, same thing. I love them in the match. I picked them. That was my only wrong pick on the week. Only had one wrong pick. I picked them because for the matchup reasons, and I still think they win the matchup battle against the Titans, but they go out and lose because they can't take care of the ball. I don't like some of the play calls. They had a million chances. They just can't execute. Very inconsistent team. And they're on the losing streak column, so they're down to 25. The Browns are down to 24. I think if it wasn't for the early turnovers, they actually could have put up a fight with the New England Patriots, maybe the best team in football. So the Browns are still kind of a sneaky team. 23 moving down 5 spots is the Chicago Bears. It's an unfortunate season, a lot of high hopes. Fans are just really upset. And it's everywhere where they're lacking right now, where they're disappointing. I still think they have a good defense, but it really hasn't been good. But I think that goes towards, them being on the field constantly, the offense not playing too good, and Akeem Hicks being out. So there's a legitimate excuse for why they're giving up some yards to the air. And then they did enough to win their last game, though, the defense. The offense is, we'll say that probably the worst in football, which is insanely disappointing. And they're on a losing streak while they had some home games. So they're down 5 spots at number 23. And then moving up 6, a team they just played is the Chargers. With all these teams behind them, coming off a losing streak and this being a week-to-week power rankings, just having that one win boost them up that much. and that'll be enough. But still a team I'm a little worried about. They fired Ken Whisenhunt for a reason here, even after a win. It's a game they very well could have lost, but the Chargers up 6 spots, mainly not because what they did. I wasn't really impressed with them. It's just what the other teams do. Yeah, something to keep in mind. A couple things that I usually like to say in the beginning of the video is that these aren't predictions going forward. They're week-by-week power rankings, and you can't compare really 2 teams, 4 teams, 10 teams together. It's a 32-piece puzzle. You have to compare all teams here, and teams may move up. Not only because what they did, but because the other teams did around them, and vice versa, down for the same reason. So that's something to keep in mind. Up 1 is the Steelers. Impressive come-from-behind win against the Dolphins, but still it's the Dolphins. They move up 1 spot, though, for winning. The Raiders are down 3 spots, a losing streak. That bye week, you could say, hurt them a little bit, but they played 2 really good offensive teams, the Packers and Texans. They put up a fight with the Texans. I'm not super worried about the Raiders, but that being said, I'm not saying, they're going to go far. I'm not confident they're going to start winning games like crazy. I'm not saying that, but I'm not worried about them in terms of, continuing a long losing streak, but they're definitely down 3 spots here. Down 4 spots is the Cardinals. They got pretty hot. The offense is getting better, even though they didn't put up a lot of points against the Saints. That Saints defense is unreal. But still only down 4 spots because they were on a winning streak before that, but still they have to move down. 18, up 3 spots, Tennessee Titans. They're on a win streak with Ryan Tannehill. I don't know if it's really because of Ryan Tannehill. I think they're opening up the playbook a little more because Tannehill's in. Their defense is really stepping up. They've had a little bit of luck on their side, too, these last few weeks. The Chargers fumbling at the half-yard line at the end of the game, and then the Buccaneers, just continuing to throw the ball to the wrong team, to the Titans, and a bad call on 4th and 1, and the refs blowing the whistle early. But they're still winning now. They got a little confidence back. That's good. And again, I think this defense can win any game. They can be, we see teams every year that just can win games. They don't feel like that team's that good, but they can just win games purely off their defense. The Titans are one of those teams. I love them. They might be the best team down the middle. You look at defensive line, interior defensive line, middle linebacker, and safety. They might be the best team in the NFL down the middle, and that's really no joke. So they're on their way up. 17 is their division rival, the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're on a winning streak. They got a little bit of a gift in the scheduling. I wish they could execute a little better, but at the end of the day, they're on a bit of a winning streak there. We'll see if they can continue it. They are up to 17, 2 spots. Staying put is the Lions. They did win. There's just really no room to move them up. Some teams that lost, I couldn't move them down that much, and there's just nobody I can really move ahead of in this particular spot. I think they're better than their record shows. That they put up a good amount of points even without a running game against the Giants. That's impressive. Defense has taken a bit of a dive recently. I know they played pretty good offensive teams. I think they could have been a little better against the Giants, but they're at 16 mainly because what's going on around them. Up 5 spots is the Eagles. An impressive win against a one-loss only team in the Bills. A game that people doubted the Eagles on. So it's an impressive win. They're very inconsistent. They haven't had a good year, bottom line. But that's an impressive win. I think they can get things rolling now. We'll see. But I move them up 5 spots for that win. And, right around this part of the season, we kind of get an identity on teams. So kind of record doesn't matter all that much. It matters a little bit. But now further along, it matters less. Because you kind of can get a feel for who's better than who. But kind of what they did recently also plays a part. But the Eagles, we know that they, are better than most of the teams that are ahead of them. I know the Lions beat them this year, but against the field down the stretch, the Eagles are still going to be, I don't know, I'm not going to say Super Bowl contender, but somewhat of a contender in terms of they can go out and win games, at some point down the stretch of the season. Moving down to 6 spots is the Panthers, an unfortunate loss. You give out 51 points and lose in that fashion, 51-13, you're going to move down some spots here, and moving down 6 spots, it's tough. I just had to move some of the other teams ahead of them, and a loss like that just makes me doubt them a little bit. Not like in the way that they're going to start losing a bunch of games. Every week I'm picking against them. That's not what I mean. It's just, losing in that fashion, makes me doubt them a little bit. But again, it's not it's not predictions. It's power rankings week by week. But I still, for that loss, disappointing. Coming off the bye week, they got to drop down for that one. So they're down to 14. Not moving at all during their bye week is the Cowboys at 13. Moving down 3 spots is the Bills. Still only 2 losses, but this is a team I feel comfortable with teams that have more losses, having them ahead of them. I just know they're better. The Bills, very likely to make the playoffs still looking at their schedule. I just don't trust this team on offense. I trusted them on defense, but they had a poor defensive performance even. And that could start catching up. You can compare this team to the Bears. You see the lack of offense is forcing the defense to play worse than it actually is. And that could be a similar situation to the Bills. So they're going to have to figure something out on offense. Maybe they make a deal here before the trade deadline. We'll see. But they're at number 12, down 3 spots. The Chiefs lose, but I still don't move them down, because what's going on around them. And, they had a bunch of guys out, and they put up a fight with the Packers, still more impressive than the teams below them. So a lot going on there to make them, stay put, actually. We got 4 spots. Not really thrilled with the Rams. They had a gift in the scheduling with the Falcons and the Bengals, a gift. And, the Bengals game, I think they could have played a little better. It was pretty much Cooper Kupp carrying the team. Defense stepped up, I suppose. But still up 4 spots. I know they are better than some of these teams. And on top of that, I don't care who they played, really. They're still on a 2-game winning streak. And I think they'll figure it out. So they're up to 10. And I think we're starting to separate them, the teams here. It starts to get a lot. There's a big gap here. It starts to get a lot better. Moving up 3 spots at number 9 is the Houston Texans. I do want to see them stay consistent. It seems like every time we're ready to move them up here, they kind of blow it and they kind of lose. Want to see consistency. No more J.J. Watt. That can hurt. But like this offense, they do need to get some sort of running game going. Sometimes they can get one going here and there, but a better running game would mean a better passing game. So we'll see if they can make a deal at the deadline, but they already made plenty of deals, so maybe unlikely. Went up 2 spots. Seahawks at number 8. You can't be super thrilled about the win against the Falcons, but you see some teams moving down and losing, such as, like the Bills and the Panthers. The Seahawks are still a very good team. Impressed me this year that they move up 2 spots. Again, mainly because the team's moving down. The Colts are at 7. No movement there. Scary game against the Broncos. Thought they were going to lose that one the whole way to the end. They are the better team than the Broncos, but I think they need to show me that, more. They need to be consistent. Kind of talk about the Colts are kind of one of those teams that I think highly of. They're a very good team, very well coached team, but they're one of those teams like that could really lose at any given time. So show me that they can, play consistent even in the games that they win, but still number 7. So pretty high on the Colts there. Moving down 1 spot, nothing they did. They had a bye. The Ravens, another team we want to see stay a little more consistent because we've seen them have their hiccups, their bad moments against the Browns. We've seen them beat up some weaker teams, but I still, love them in those dominating wins, especially the Seahawks one was dominant. So I think, like I've been saying, I think this is a team that can continue to keep getting better and better on both sides of the ball as the season goes on. And that way they would keep going up in the power rankings because I'm not predicting with these power rankings. So moving up 1 spot, wasn't really thrilled with their win either, but the Ravens on the bye and the Vikings, just super impressive, on offense being able to move the ball. And then even though I wasn't thrilled with their defensive performance, they still held the Redskins to 9 points. And they got a little conservative on me. I think they could have made it a little more comfortable if they needed to, but you never know with them. But, this team is deadly on offense because of Dalvin Cook. It starts with Dalvin Cook and the improvements of the offensive line, and Cousins is playing very well. So they're up to 5. I think, though, that 5 through, we'll say 5 through 8 range, 5 through 9, they're all pretty tight right there. And then number 4, team that's hot but still can't really move up because what's ahead of them is the Packers. So we see 2 NFC North teams there, 4-5. Pretty interesting, but the Packers have dominated the NFC North, so there's no way that the Packers get hot by anyone below them there. So they are at number 4. 3 is the Saints. And again, these are week-by-week power rankings. The resume matters. Being undefeated, like I said, the record doesn't matter all that much. It matters a little bit, but when you're undefeated, I think it takes another level. The Saints are a damn good football team. They may be, when it's all said and done, take away the entire resume, they may be the best team in football, but they're at number 3 right now. And the top 2, I went ahead and did it for this week. I made the change. The Patriots down 1, nothing they really did specifically. The Niners I've just been more impressed. It's a week-by-week power rankings. I can change this every single week. Like I said, based on what they've just done, and I've seen enough from the Niners to move them up to number 1. When it's all said and done, am I picking the Niners to be the best team at the end of the year? No, they very well could be because they've been dominant, but I'm not really saying that with this. I'm not making a statement. I'm making a statement for this week based on what they've done, and obviously recently matters more than more in the past. The comparing the 2 teams, I actually see less weak spots in the Niners as well. I think you can run on the Patriots. We're starting to split hairs here. I'm not saying you can run all over the Patriots. I'm just saying we're starting to split hairs between these two undefeated top-tier teams. I think you can run on the Patriots. I think you can get some really good pass rush on the Patriots to throw Tom Brady off. The Niners, really only weakness is just health. And that's really not something I really consider when making my power rankings at all. That's not something I consider at all, I should say. Because, again, not predictions. Can't stress that enough. And I guess quarterback play can hurt them, but they keep Garoppolo very well protected. He's playing fine. A couple mistakes here and there, nothing crucial. I've been more impressed with the Niners, and that is what puts them at number one. I'm worried about what the Patriots, if these two teams played, I don't think it's a good matchup for the Patriots, but again, it's not head-to-head. It's just something that I thought of, just to throw out there, just an interesting debate. If it's a head-to-head matchup, if it's a Super Bowl head-to-head matchup, just because of the experience, Patriots be favored. But if they played right now in the regular season, looking at the matchup, how I like to find the matchup. I think it's working for me right now. I think the matchup favors the Niners right now, to be honest. But again, that didn't really go into my rankings. It's just an interesting topic. What went into my rankings, I'm more impressed with the Niners. It's a week-by-week power rankings. I can change this based on what they do. We see the Patriots have a real opportunity playing the Ravens to go back to number one. They have a real opportunity next week. So we'll see. So I guess a lot of interesting topics to talk about in the comments. We got a lot of action in the NFL, too. We got the trade deadline here. We've graded some recent trades. We'll grade all the trades that happened today in one video. We'll break it all down. So hopefully you can join us for that. Check out our other videos on all that. But thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't done it yet. We're trying to get to that goal. Check out our Patreon for more content. Always more content throughout the whole year, even in the offseason being added to that. So well worth it. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Goodbye.